This reading might be for you if you resonate with this blue color or with the energy of this Mickey Nuimo or with this blue bear. The color blue, and also toys or fidget toys or plushies or this kind of energy, if that's significant to you. And also if you've been feeling lonely recently, this video could be for you. And also if eyes are significant in some way, this video could be for you. If you tell how you feel about someone through seeing their eyes, if you are looking in the mirror and your own eyes are important for you to see, if you make love with other beings through looking at them, if you enjoy eye contact with pets, if you see a lot of beauty in the world and also are attuned to your own pain, if you see clearly, especially in situations where not everybody can see what you see, then this reading is likely for you. So those were just some identifying factors. Birds as well, if you see a lot of birds. So those are some identifying factors for this reading. So if you feel like this energy could be resonant for you, then let's get into your reading. There's a lot of blue things around me, the blue toys as we discussed, and I have a blue cup, and also there's a lot of blues on these cards, so the color blue could be important. Also, this Nuimo is the last day of Park Blues Nuimo. What that means in a simple way is that, like, when people go to Disney World and then it's the last day and they get sad on the last day because they're going home, that's the last day of Park Blues. But how I interpret that meaning is that in a way everything earthly, its form so far, comes to an end, and so it is that end which makes it sad and also which makes it precious. So it's to look at our perspective on the ending of things and to actually have the ending in sight, which, yes, does open us up to a raw kind of sadness and grief. And that very raw sadness and grief is also the thing that makes us more able to embrace and cherish the moment and what's important to us right now. Also makes us more open to the magic and the love and the present moment mystery, experiencing the fullness, the richness of life. Those experiences are actually two sides of the same coin. So let's get into the cards. So one last thing, I like to call him, instead of the last day of Park Blues, I like to call him the embrace it while it's happening Mickey. Embrace it while it's happening, all of our feelings and also what's important while it's happening. People, places, things, beings, experiences. So what do our cards have to say? So straight away we've got some cards flying out of the deck. And she's holding a blue crystal ball, a world in her hands. You've got the world in your hands. So recently you may be coming out of a period of isolation, of hermit mode, and potentially planning some kind of trip, even if that's just local, getting out and about more. Or if you're not, this could be a message that even just taking tiny little baby steps out and about locally is a good place to begin. If you find it difficult to go out and to socialize and things like that, if that can be overwhelming, even an incremental baby step is very important and very valuable. You don't need to jump from 0 to 100, just from A to B, not A to Z. Because the world in your hands can sound like something dramatic. Also, the whole world is in your hands, including like the little baby steps we need to take. If you want to fly across the Atlantic like Mickey did to get to me, first you need to walk or drive or take the bus to the airport. Is one step at a time. Or even before that, there's a planning stage. So whatever step you're up to, it's really important taking things one step at a time, because we can get overwhelmed when we see our whole vision and our whole desire and everything we want and how's it going to fit together, and we don't need to figure all of that out. The exact how is not your job. The next step is your job. So the sun, it's like some light coming in after a long period of darkness, and that light is actually you. The light you've cultivated inside, the way you care for your pain, the way you're present with yourself, that light is really bright and radiating. There's this really strong sense of self-love that is here. And now it's becoming about taking baby steps in the world to make ourselves available for connecting with people. And many of you here have a lot of relational trauma when it comes to people, so that's why these incremental baby steps are very important. Because when we do something, whatever our grand desire for our life might be, it's very important that we do things in a win-win for all parts of us. Because if one part is like, I want to fly across the Atlantic, and another part is like, wait, but something about me here is not on board, what's more important now than flying across the Atlantic is working on finding a win-win between these two splits, because I promise you, the win-win possibility between all parts of you is much better than what any one part can do in spite of another part. So the message here is to really begin practicing, dedicating yourself to finding the win-win above making a particular outcome happen, even if you have to force yourself in spite of another part, because that's not self-loving. Self-love is the foundation of everything, and a practical way to approach self-love is to work on getting all of our parts on the same page, seeing what each part of us needs and finding a genuine win-win, which is going to be a new possibility. If part A wants one scenario, part B wants one scenario, they need to come together and collaborate to create a new scenario that encompasses everything, so that everyone says yes to it. It needs to be a genuine yes to it. If someone's not on board, that's not it. So yeah, okay. So we have here the Devil card, which has in the energy of the word a scary word. So the Devil card is like that you have been taught through socialization to fear parts of yourself, to shame parts of yourself, and to those parts are bad and those parts are okay. This is what it's okay to be like, and this is what I keep on the DL. And so in the context of this reading, this card means, not the devil, the aspects of us that are in the dark. And so it's to look at those with our eyes of love and to understand those parts of ourselves. It's that this woman here on the card in the Eight of Swords is in a forest surrounded by swords, and the sword can be looked at as a dangerous object that's all around her. But whether this object is dangerous or not depends on how we use it. The sword could make a beautiful display piece, or it could make a weapon. So when it comes to are parts of us bad or not, it depends on how we approach them. And it's not that them being good or bad depends on how we approach them, but are parts of us dangerous depends on how we approach them. Because if we treat a part of us like it's a dangerous sword and we use it that way, then this is not a healthy relationship. If we treat a part of us that's appearing as a dangerous sword in a way where we understand it and we find out what it needs. We invite it to come on board and collaborate with the rest of us, and we see that we are one whole being, sharing a body and sharing the planet with everyone else who is also a part of this one energy. The impulse to hurt each other, it doesn't continue in that atmosphere, because I cannot hurt you without hurting my own hand, because we are literally connected. So the shift from why is something behaving that way, what does it need, how can we come together to create a scenario that's best for everyone, is how we approach these parts of us that we've previously been taught to treat as a dangerous sword, which actually makes people more dangerous if we do that with them. For example, if we exile a particular archetype of person in society who we think is dangerous, it actually makes them more dangerous, because everyone's a human being just like us. And so everyone needs understanding, everyone has needs, everyone can find healthier ways of getting those needs met, more mutually beneficial ways of getting those needs met, so that each part can find its exalted, collaborative, supportive, mutually beneficial attitude towards each other, and that's love. That's alchemy. So what's coming to me here is that when I first heard the concept of finding a win-win, I was kind of like, oh yeah, that's great, yeah, like finding a win-win between two sides, but I didn't really think that much more of it. And it's throughout my life, this has come back around in cycles and become deeper and deeper, until all of a sudden, so to speak, I've been like, oh, finding a win-win is so significant and important, because you as an individual being are not one personality or one whole. In a sense, you are more like different fragments who unconsciously oppose each other unless we consciously create win-win relationship between them. And it took a long time for me to see this more clearly, but I see it as the truth now. Because, for example, how you can see it in yourself is, do you ever go to make a decision and there's like an argument in your head? Those are different parts that are not on board with each other. Do you ever force yourself to do anything? That's because one part is on board and one part is not. It's in everything, it's everywhere. And also when two beings come into relationship, it's necessary to see who's compatible with each other and find win-wins with each other if you come into a conflict. Otherwise, there can be no harmony. The energy exchange needs to be above board. And it's predominantly about needs. It can also be about boundaries. We can say it's about boundaries. What does boundaries include? My thoughts, my feelings, my desires. Your thoughts, your feelings, your desires, your preferences, your boundaries, your needs, your perception. Everything that defines you as you. And when what defines you as you clashes with what defines someone else as them, what choices do we have? We have the choice to stay rigid in this boundary. And if these two people are hurting each other while staying rigid in these boundaries, if they carry on in a relationship, they're going to hurt each other. So if two people are rigid in a way where they can't find a solution, that's an incompatibility. If two people are workable in their boundaries, they can come together and find a win-win, and that's compatibility. So there can be relationships that have some areas of compatibility and some areas of incompatibility. But what is a very important pillar of compatibility is, can we get on the same page about this in a way that's mutually beneficial for both of us? Compatibility is this mutually beneficial. Incompatibility is, in this way we hurt each other. And so relationships can exist with incompatibility in them if it's conscious. In this way I'm unworkable, and in this way I'm workable. And so these people can agree that this unworkable aspect of the relationship doesn't work, but the workable aspect does, and they can engage in what works and seek the needs that belong in the part that they're not a match for from other people. This is like the middle step. Like, with you I'm a match in this way and not in this way, and so with you I'm a match in this way and not in this way. It's kind of the middle phase while we work towards finding people who we're more of a match with. And under no circumstances can one person and one other person, so a two, meet all of each other's needs, because we are communal, tribal species who need a social network. So you're never going to find one person who's fully compatible with you in a way that can meet all of your needs. You can be very important and significant to each other, you can be primary to each other, and you still need other people for the ways in which you can't meet all of each other's needs. And that's not even down to compatibility or incompatibility, that's down to our nature as a tribal species. It's not natural to have this much pressure on two people. It's natural to spread the pressure out between a network, a tribe, a community, a social circle. Okay. Also in this group, many of you might be perfectionistic, myself included. So I'm just going to say here that in this reading, not everything ever will be figured out. Some important things will be shared. Not everything will be spoken perfectly. What needs to be said will be said, and mistakes are a part of learning. Failure is a part of learning. Success is just a little further down the same road as failure. Maybe in a different direction, but it's not a different road that success is this way and failure is this way. They go together. So let's talk about loneliness now. I got the cards out because it seemed like fun to read the cards, and now I'm having fun just going from intuition, so I might just allow that. Okay, so the foundation of the life of a human being is tribe, is community, is that we are a socially, relationally dependent species. And this loneliness that we feel, that you feel, or even let's go wider into society when someone might not be aware of the loneliness, the dissatisfaction, the endless chasing something that you can't get to, the depression, the not belonging anywhere. So many of the issues that we have systemically are about internal fragmentation between our parts, like being split into different aspects of consciousness that in essence have a rift between them rather than a harmony and a collaboration. And also in the mirror outside, social isolation. And it's not just about, okay, then get people together and that fixes it. It's about doing the inner and outer work at the same time, and also that the relationships internally and externally need to include intimacy and authenticity, as well as consideration and connection and community and mutually beneficial collaboration. And we're not going to feel okay as a species unless we return to our natural state, unless we work with integrating between these parts of us that are separated inside, and also coming together in compatible social arrangements and being conscious with the energy exchanges to accumulate in social networks that are big enough and resourced enough to resource all of our needs. Because the pain that you have from unmet needs literally is not going to go away unless we meet the unmet needs. And needs need to be met. That's what they are. Like when there is hunger, if you don't eat, you're gonna be hungry. It's the same with your social needs. If you don't have intimacy for the parts of you that need intimacy from you inside and also from others outside, that need for intimacy is going to register as a loneliness and as a pain, and that pain is going to be there until it receives what it needs, until we're present with our own pain, until you're present with your pain and you work to resolve these splits and find win-wins, and then also follow that through on the outside to take proactive steps towards connecting on the outside, following the impulses that come from that work, working on our beliefs that separate us from others and things like this in a way that feels like a win-win for all of your parts. Because for example, if you do some internal integration and you realize that you need more intimate and meaningful connections on one side, and you also have a part of you that's terrified of being hurt by other people, if you don't resolve this split and you just go to places where you think people are gonna be being intimate together, this doesn't lead to the kind of relationships that you need, because this part is not on board. There needs to be a way that this becomes a win-win for both of these, and then the next step is what is followed. So there might need to be some baby steps towards this that accommodate this part. So for example, with this split, going straight to a tantric workshop might not be the win-win, but going to a coffee shop and exposing yourself to people more often could be the first step. And then maybe traveling somewhere a little bit further could be the next step. And then maybe trying a workshop that's a bit less intense could be the next step. You know, things like this. It's like climbing a ladder to it. That could be an example of how to find a win-win between those parts. So a lot of the pain that we have inside and the paralysis is because consciously we want something, and subconsciously there is a big aspect of us that's in essence working against that, because it doesn't feel considered and doesn't feel safe and doesn't feel included in the collaboration. Well, let's see what the cards have to say for real this time. So what is it important for us all to know or see is that what you have inside who you are is very precious. Your vulnerability, your experiences, your authenticity, your gifts, your contributions, all of you is very precious, very mysterious and very magical, rare. And it is important to put something like that in an environment where it will be nurtured and taken care of. So to take very sincerely those kinds of boundaries that don't feel safe in particular environments, in that distance between an environment that doesn't feel safe and you is a healthy thing, and putting you in an environment that feels safer is a healthy thing. Or if you need to pass through somewhere public and you don't feel safe, it's to do what you need to do to accommodate yourself in that situation. And if you can, we work towards finding the social resources that we need to not have to do that alone if that's overwhelming for you. And there is something that I hear said a lot where it's like, you don't have to do that alone. And that's true. And also, many of you are alone though, and I get it. So what do you do from a place where you don't have anyone? Is to take care of yourself in the best way that you can, and take those baby steps while accommodating yourself in ways that make you feel protected and supported in the best way that you can as you're on your journey to finding the friends and support and people that you need. I'm going to make a bold statement that whether they are aware of it or not, worldwide, we all feel lonely unless you have a high degree of internal integration to the point where you also have an external community and tribe and all of your social needs met, or the majority of your social needs met. If that's not the case, there is loneliness inside of all of us. And so to admit it and to feel it helps us to feel actually less alone by hearing someone else say, yeah, I feel lonely too. Yes, so many of us feel incredibly lonely. Yeah. And sure, people are at different degrees and stages of that, of how many resources we have, how much integration has happened inside, and to one degree or another, yes, we all feel that. And yes, it's a priority to focus on. Having the social needs met, as I said before, it is the foundation. Relationships are what life is about. Your relationships between your internal parts, your relationships with others, your relationships with life, your relationships with other beings, your relationships with everything that is around you. My bum is in relationship with the floor right now. So the way that we relate with things is everything. The approach, the attitude, the care that we take. The mastery of relationships, internal and external, is the priority. It's quality of life. And of course, it's up to you to decide which parts of this reading are for you and which parts are not, or if this reading is still for you or if it's not. Like, when I share things, I share my perspective, and ultimately you are the one who knows what's best for you, what resonates with you, what you need to do with that information, and what you need to leave to one side, whatever that is. So, yeah. Is there anything else that we need to hear to support our well-being? Is that your heart emotionally has been very hurt in your life, and to take that sincerely? Give yourself the grace, the healing, the care, the unconditional love, the incremental steps that you need to dedicate yourself to loving yourself in the way that you need to be loved. An amazing question to have as an anchor is, instead of what should I be doing or how do I make this happen or any of these questions that can put a lot of pressure on us, a question that's important for you is, how do I need to be loved right now? And am I loving myself in the way that I need to be loved right now? Not as a measure of achievement, but as a opportunity to pivot into a way of loving yourself that's more accurate to what you need. How do you need to be loved right now? You are the one who knows that most deeply. And everyone's process of internal integration and coming back together towards a more social species is at different rates, because we have different needs. Those with enmeshment trauma need something very different to those who are predominantly exhibiting abandonment trauma and things like this. So your specific trauma and your blueprint needs its own unique approach. No human being is exempt from its nature, though. Not even the Buddha, who goes off alone into a cave, is exempt from the fact that we are a social species. So, is there anything else that's gonna support our highest well-being, the win-win for everyone here? Is that our thoughts are a very important thing to observe, and our feelings are a very important thing to practice allowing ourselves to sink into on a feeling level. When our thoughts are in conflict, when they feel like a sword, it's really important to approach that with tenderness and see what's going on there. See what way of thinking about this is going to bring more harmony to the internal environment. And then it's also this willingness to feel our feelings, and also this working towards being in connection with others, because it's natural for us to not have to go through that alone. So it's like, maybe it starts by doing the internal work and feeling alone, and also when we can resource other people. It's okay to have people be with you in your feelings. We need it. It's okay to have people support you with things, to delegate things or stuff like that. Like, we're a team as a species. You can't do everything everywhere all at once by yourself. This hyper-independence mindset is the trauma response. We are more like a well-oiled machine together. We thrive when we collaborate in mutually beneficial social arrangements. Relationships are healthy when they include support and collaboration and enjoying, and whatever kind of unique way it needs to be for these unique people. And if there needs to be a relationship where it's not reciprocal, which is what I explain reciprocity is what I'm talking about here, then there can be a therapeutic relationship. If you really need that deep, intensive focus just on you, there can be therapeutic relationships of many kinds. And if you need that, I do encourage you to seek that out. I've got pins and needles in my leg. If you do want a tool to support you and guide you through integrating between your internal parts, resolving these conflicts, and also having a greater access to possibility externally, I've created a belief changing guidebook. It's called How to Change a Belief with Love. and it is for resolving inner conflict and having greater access to what we need and desire outside through using belief work as an entry point to that. So it is a belief process, and it's also something much deeper, internal harmony and external proactivity, and it takes you step by step through an incredible process that I created first for myself and shared it just in case anyone else can benefit from it. And although I might have an important key here for you in this video and also in my belief process, you will always be the bearer of the master key in your life. So I'm going to leave it here for today's reading. Thank you for being who you are, being here, for sharing your time with me, your energy, trusting me to guide us with wisdom and share my authenticity. So I'd appreciate it if you want to, if you will respond to the video by liking it and maybe leaving a comment to share what you got from this video, and subscribe and hit the notification bell if you would like to stay in the loop with my content. And take care. Bye for now. Namaste. I've been Enigma Del Amor, by the way. And I still am. For now.